So, when I was working on last week's video, I stumbled across this. A Doom 2 screensaver that was sold in stores. Now, for my younger audience, I think I need to explain why Screensaver was so popular. Before we had 4K, 144Hz, 20-inch flat screen gaming monitors, we had CRTs. They were loud, huge, and they had an issue with parts of the screen literally getting burnt into the monitor if you left it on the same image for too long. Turning off the monitor wasn't really a good idea either, because they took a long time to warm up and actually show what you wanted. They'd fade in slowly and it took like a minute for them to appear. With that kind of stuff in mind, it's kind of obvious why people love screensavers for a long while. So how screensavers usually work, they would either show an image or a graphic that would change every few minutes so that it wouldn't burn into the screen. There were some different ones, but that's how most of them worked. With that history lesson out of the way, let's get on to the actual thing. I was gonna buy an actual physical copy for the joke because, let's be real, this thing was a piece of junk even at the time. I mean, I don't really have much of a budget, but people surely can't. What the fuck? Why? It's not even valuable. It's not something anyone is looking for. Seriously, I checked YouTube before I made this video. As of time of recording, there are 2 videos on this thing, on the whole website. Nobody cares about this thing. Why is it selling for so much? So, unfortunately, you can't get an unboxing. I'm sorry, but I'm not really gonna pay that much for a screensaver from 1995. Unfortunately, stuff online is quite scarce about this thing. Mostly because, again, I don't think anyone really cared about it. I do want to thank Marthy Black for helping me out with some of the information. Apparently it had been selling for quite a while, as when he picked up his copy it was about 1997 or so, give or take a few. So either nobody bought this thing and they kept it out on shelves, or a lot of people bought this thing and it just kept selling. So I've installed this on a Windows 98 virtual machine. I tried it with Windows 95 and it bricked the entire virtual machine, so this program is originally designed for MS-DOS, but it works on any of them, and it was released by the time of Windows 95. So the install process is pretty straightforward. They do have a few samples of Doom sounds to make sure your sound card works, but other than that, it's mostly standard for the time. So with the program itself, so this is gonna be a somewhat live reaction. I'm not really used to this. I usually have a script, so I apologize. So I have booted up this virtual machine and the program automatically starts at the bottom right here, bottom left, but fuck. And here we go. It has a few options and about, which surprisingly enough, this doesn't say GT Interactive anywhere on it. So it has a help guide, which doesn't actually have anything helping on it. It just explains what they do. There's no sort of, there's nothing here. You've got test that actually, you know, shows you the screensaver. There doesn't seem to be any way to actually adjust when the screensaver comes on. It comes with some other screensavers as well. I believe this is some program that already exists and they've just added all this Doom stuff to it. So yeah. You might notice a small issue with this, ignoring the terrible, terrible sound. This doesn't actually protect your screen. All the parts of the screen is left on. You can change the background. Oh yeah, that really fits in with Doom. I love that. Mwah. Other than that, no, it doesn't seem you can change the background. So if you were to use this as a background, it would just burn into the screen. Jesus, okay. I should say the sound crackling is an issue of clock speed. It does seem quite sped up in the video, and there's a reason for that. For, again, younger audiences, clock speed in very basic terms is how quickly a computer can do instructions. The higher the clock speed, the more instructions it can get done. Now, people had their games and programs tied to the clock speed. It was a simple solution, and it wouldn't really become an issue much further down the line. By the time it did become an issue, people would probably move on anyway. The issue is computers got faster and faster and faster. Like exponentially fast. It's why old computers have a turbo button. It actually slows down your computer to work with older programs. By the late 1980s-ish, people had learned their lesson and had stopped tying their programming with clock speed. Except this program for some reason. While this program was designed for Windows 3.1, the version I'm using here was dated 1995. This is long after people realized that computers were going to get faster, and people had issues with it speeding up at time of release. I guess that is the GT Interactive seal of approval. First they fuck over the developers of Blood 2, then they release this garbage. This had a release! You could buy this thing from a store! I would try and show this slowed down, but this is slowed down. I have set the clock speed for this virtual machine to 40 MHz. I cannot set it any lower. The only other thing I could do is buy a machine from the era and hope the CPU is bad enough so it will run at the correct speed. The fact that when this released, people had issues with using it because it was too fast, even at the time, there's just no chance of me actually using this thing how it is. I mean, I could get a Windows 3.1 machine to show you what it actually looked like, but come on, look at this thing. It's not worth the effort. So this screensaver has 4 modes. I'm kind of curious how much Doom code actually is inside this thing because it's not static. The enemies move around and they seem to behave how they would in the game. Heck, they even have archvile jumps in here, so whoever coded it clearly understood some deep parts of Doom 2. So there's 4 modes to this. Barrels of Fun, Duel, Fireworks, and Skeet Shoot. Barrels of Fun is the one I showed you earlier. What it basically is a monster running across and then you shoot the barrels and they all explode. With a terrible sound. Again, this is clock speed, I can't really do much because of it. I don't know why Doom Guy appears and then presses the button and dies. I'm pretty sure the Cyber Demon is immune to explosions, so I don't know what to say here really. It just boggles my mind. This wouldn't protect your screen. It would burn in. This was a paid product and it was useless. Anyway, I'm moving on from Barrels of Fun. A duel is two demons fighting out. You get the idea. I mean, I find it kind of impressive they do actually move left and right like it's a 3D space. I suppose that part's cool. I guess. Fireworks just has monsters fly about and it goes, ooh, ah. Could you imagine having the sound on for this thing while you're away? Even if it did sound right because of the clock speed. Even if it did, it would just be this over and over again until you moved. Why would anyone want the sound? Okay, and the last one we have is Skeet Shoot, which it has an archvile jump. Well, you can see the archvile lifts people up and then you shoot them and then they die. I guess the bullet like on the background is kind of cool, I guess. It seems to have changed my color palette, which I find that kind of impressive to do. Like, was this software even tested? Did this go through like a process? And that's basically it for the Doom 2 screensaver. There are some other things like this kaleidoscope, which surprisingly the kaleidoscope actually functions as a screensaver. Not very well, but I think it would work. So all in all, this is a terrible piece of software. Like this was, I have to reiterate, this was sold in stores. You could buy this for several years and it didn't work at the time. Like video game screensavers were really apparent. I think the most famous one I can think of is the Sonic the Hedgehog screensaver. But they were everywhere. Usually they were free or bundled with software. You didn't actually get a big box release of a single screensaver. I mean, you had things like After Dark, but that was a bundle like of many screensavers that actually function, and you could actually use them to make sure you don't get screen burning. This I genuinely am speechless with this. How did this get made? So yeah, that's all I have to say on the matter. If you like this video, please hit subscribe, like and comment, you know, the rest. Commenting does help my video appear in like the recommended tab and that, so if you can leave a comment, please do. It helps so much. If you didn't like this video, then, well, you know, dislike it. You know, whatever. But I hope you watch my other content. Hopefully, my next video won't be on something as terrible as the Doom 2 screensaver. I'm sorry, I just can't get over the fact this was sold in stores in a big box release. You get the point. What a piece of fucking garbage.